It has something to do with being connected to the owl. Oh. Just display signs.
Yeah, technology is really going after us. Yay.
All right, back in business. Back to Steve then.
Next announcement.
I'm gonna move those black things down the bottom. And then that one. All right.
This was on the CPC.
All right, go to the next one, CPC. Now, Joe, you want to jump in on this one?
Yeah. So CPC deadline, applications are due tomorrow, January 11th. 2023 at 4:00, and they are due to the town administrator's office. They should also be sent to Michelle McGovern, executive assistant to the town administrator. Her email is mmcgovern@wenhamma.gov. Again, that's mmcgovern@wenhamma.gov. And again, applicants should submit one hard copy and also one copy electronically to Michelle's email. Again, the deadline is tomorrow at 4 p.m. barring extraordinary circumstances. So make sure you get them in, okay?
Do they have any applications yet? Or
We have at least two,
two? That's it.
so. I know I'll be passing in 3 myself. So.
All right, and this is everyone's heard about the master plan going on. So we have the master plan advisory committee. And what they put together along with the consultant is what's called a meeting in a box. So this is a civic engagement tool that's designed basically to facilitate the guided facilitation of discussion amongst friends. So you bring home this box and you open it up and there's, a guided facilitation document that will guide discussions and brainstorming for folks to meet with family and friends and kind of brainstorm the things that they love about Wenham. They have a limited number of boxes available, so you definitely want to reach out as soon as possible. And Margaret Hoffman will be the contact on this. And you can write down the email that's here on the slide, or call the select board's office and we can direct you to the appropriate person.
So when they say a limited number of boxes, meaning there's only so many that can go out at one given time, but
I don't know if the way that
are
made
they
it, you can reuse
reusable?
them.
Yes, they're reusable.
reusable. So
So long as you made some photocopies and take your own
Okay.
notes. But the box is set up with a clipboard, pen inside, note papers, and about 10 pages that guides you through the whole process. You can probably get it done with a reasonable group in about 1 hour. So, and these boxes aren't just for the committee, but anyone that attends one of these, hopefully they'll take a box and take it on to another new group.
a great idea.
It's just that we're starting the annual town report again for calendar year 2022. So with that, we're looking for donations of Wenham photos. So if you have any photos that you like, that you're proud of and you want to share, included in the town report, please share them. Please send them our way. And give us a call or use the email on the slide.
Any other announcements, Diane?
I do no.
All right. Peter, any announcements?
Not for me.
All right. Then we'll go on to the town administrator's update.
A few updates tonight. First of the 3 to 5 special act passed the House. So last time we gave an update, it was still in the Senate. It's since gone to the House and passed there. The governor signed it the first business day of the year. And now it's back on us to present it to the residents through a ballot question at our April local election. And if it passes the ballot, the select board's office then has 90 days to organize and hold a special election for those 2 additional seats. I know last time we were talking about grant funding and the availability of funds out there, so I just thought I'd share this. Mike Hardy, our facilities director, has worked with Vicky Masson, and they were able to secure about $65,000 in funds that will be spread across the town hall, the library, recreation center, and iron rail. These funds are to be used for weatherization to help offset utility costs.
So not HVAC or anything, just.
No,
kinda like
just
window
weatherization,
filter
yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, air tightening,
Air
insulation. stuff like
That's
that.
cool, right?
And budget update. So the budget process, we had our first meeting with the Finance Committee last Wednesday. Well, the first meeting after our budget presentation on December 10th, the Saturday meeting. And we presented them with what we believe to be a balanced budget. They are now going through each department in a granular fashion and vetting all expenditures in each department each night over the next 4 or 5 meetings through the first week of February. We will be they'll be hosting a number of departments each Wednesday night to work through their budget. So that process is ongoing, but we do believe we presented a balanced budget for this year. Yesterday we were out at the iron rail. We took a tour of the iron rail facilities along with the iron rail committee, and this is so we can build the scope of work for going out for a feasibility study for the iron rail property to get some alternative uses that may be advantageous for the town. So it's pretty exciting. That's been something that's been talked about a lot since I got here about what to do with this property and whether the town wants to remain a landlord, if that's the best use, or you know, there's something else that could be done with the property. So we'll be looking at it from all angles, all types of different uses, and we expect the report to be back to us within 4 to 6 months. And Gary, that's all I have for us.
Thank you. So, Chair's report, 2 items. The first, Monday afternoon, the 5 chairs met, the Hamilton Select Board and FinCom, the Wenham Select Board and FinCom, and the school chairman. Very good meeting. We had Vinny presented the school budget, which was passed, I believe, in preliminary fashion by the school committee last Friday. And it comes in with essentially a 0.5% increase for Wenham. The Hamilton is slightly over 4%, and overall a 3.02%. So the superintendent and his staff has been working diligently to act very reasonable for the 2 towns this year. Other items that came up at the 5 chairs meeting is Dana Lara, the chairman of the school committee, put forward the fact that they want to open up the regional school agreement, and that they've used their regional school district council to review what items in the district they should look at. And then it was proposed that we'll come to the 2 towns and we'll each have our town councils do a preliminary review as to what issues need to be corrected on probably what is about a 60-year-old document.
Yeah, that's how I was.
Yeah, so it really hasn't been thoroughly reviewed since the inception. And we know that certain things like the voting procedure stuff are well out of date.
Yeah.
So that's probably a year-long process to work our way through the regional school budget agreement. On the school budget, the superintendent briefed that the high school roof preliminary estimates $4 million is probably rolled back another year, as the state has not come forward with any grant money this year. The athletic fields at the special town meeting, the 2 towns authorized the establishment of a stabilization fund. The school committee proposes to put $1.7 million into that this year, which will roll directly to the athletic fields. The schools district is coming to both CPCs in the towns to ask for money. There's also, several years ago, apparently the town of Hamilton did set aside $500,000 in their stabilization fund for the purpose of athletic fields at the schools. So that's something that we'll look at in our current operational budget to match our fair share of that. Then the school building itself, or to step back one more, athletic fields, there is private funding being sought for that, but that's off to a slightly slow but pending start. Only briefed at $257,000 raised so far, which is maybe 2% of the budget forecast. So the Cutler School replacement figures are pretty broad, maybe 100 million to 110 million range. The school building committee or subcommittee will be meeting shortly as we start into the feasibility portion of the program. And on the feasibility, there's been a lot of discussion how to fund that, and an actual fact that may roll back to FY25 on the billing cycle for that. So we should know about that from the school department in a couple of weeks. So I think that's it on the school budget. Then the other item, the chair reports, is we've had the January property tax bills, as everyone knows, been in the mail. Quite a few questions and posed online and up to the assessor's office. So tonight I'd like to just go through a brief slides here explaining how this is accomplished and perhaps why your bill seems to be quite a bit larger than last year. So the quarterly tax amounts, the FY23 budget is 4.14% over the FY22 budget. So overall, for the whole town, your tax rate, you would assume, would have gone up 4.14%. However, there's been significant increases in the property market, as we know by checking in on Zillow or just in the news. So certain, maybe we call it distortions in the market have occurred, so that some parts of town, some types of buildings, especially small ranches and cape buildings, have risen quite a lot in value over the last year. I should say 2 years, because we're talking 21 values. A property's new assessed value drives a tax bill increase over the 4.14% if the percentage change in your particular property's value was greater than the average. So the average would cover the 4.14%, but because of the market in real estate, there are some changes in that. So your assessment is in a value of your property used to calculate your property tax. It is a market value price of your property that most people would pay for, is based on the condition of the property and a set time period. Unlike some people's understanding, the assessors don't go out and look at each individual house, but rather this is a statistical thing so that the entire number of buildings in town are assessed based upon particular groups of properties at a particular date using Massachusetts state standards. So it's not locally determined numbers. It's all set by the state. All those numbers are brought in, sales data, current conditions, and so forth, and analyzed. And out of that becomes a value for your home in particular, based upon similar homes in your particular category group. So this process, which is statistical, is used because it's the only way to cope with large number of properties. I mean, Wenham is pretty small. We only have over 1,400 properties, but you look at other cities around here with tens of thousands of properties that they would impossible to look at individually. So you use a statistical approach. All right, so the mass appraisal, they look at all the buildings. The grading is based upon the quality of your residence, how complex the building structure is, what materials are used, and the workmanship. The condition is graded on 7, all the way from brand spanking new, excellent, down to dilapidated, unsuitable for habitation. Depreciation, the age of the residence is factored in as well. And then finally, all the data is put together in a statistical analysis to evaluate your individual property. Next. The assessment cycle. So your tax bill that you received this prior week is based upon sales data that was collected all the way through 2021. The actual calculation was based upon the value of your residence as of last January 1st, 2022. Last April, the town meeting set the FY23 budget, which determined how much revenue we needed to raise. Last July, the first quarter bill for this fiscal year, using an estimated tax rate, was sent out to you, and the second quarter in October. In the October-November timeframe, the Massachusetts Department of Revenue provides to each town the certified tax rate. For this year, that tax rate was 17.35 on $1,000. So here we are up to January 2023. We just sent out the third quarter bills, and those have been adjusted using the actual tax rate. So between this January bill and the next one, your full tax payments will be complete by the end of fiscal 23. So where we're at today is the fiscal 23 budget, which was voted at last April's town meeting, required $26.8 million. Other revenues paid for just over $7 million, leaving $19.7 million to be paid by the property tax levy. So if we take that figure to be raised and divide it by the grand total of all taxable valuation in town, which is quite a large number, $1.140 billion. Yes, that's $1,140 million. That gives you the tax rate of 17.35 per thousand of assessed value. So that is where your tax rate comes from, down considerably from last year because the overall assessed valuation went up. So our average tax property in town now is worth $779,000 multiplied by your tax rate of 0.01735 gives you the average tax bill of $13,515. That's all the math. Next. So just to review 4 bills, the first 2 were mailed out last July and October using an estimated tax rate. Last November, we got the final tax rate certified by the state, and the bill this January and coming in April will use the actual tax rate computations to bring you up to pay your full share. Next. So some people may need assistance out there, so we'll go through what can be done to help you out. Senior exemption, it's based upon income and asset limitations, have to be 65 plus age, and that might qualify you for $1,000 exemption. Seniors age 70 and above, or surviving spouses and minors of deceased parents, if you don't meet the income limitations, but do meet the asset limitations, you get a $175 exemption. We also have a senior tax workoff program, which was in the FY23 budget at $15,000. That is managed through the Council on Aging, Jim Reynolds. It is not a cash-based system, but rather, if you volunteer and get accepted, you can receive $15 credit per hour against your taxes, up to a maximum of $1,500.
1,500 or 15,000?
1,500. The 15,000 is the total that we
okay.
appropriated for the
Sorry.
program.
Mhm.
And we may ought to look at that for next year. Disabled veterans exemption. If you have a United States government Department of Veterans Affairs 10 to 99% disability rating, you're eligible for a $400 exemption. And if you have 100% disability, $1,000 exemption. There's also a Massachusetts blind exemption. With your certificate, there's a local $500 exemption from your tax bill. And there is a veterans tax work-off program, just like the seniors, where we'll credit you with a 15 hours per volunteer hour, maximum $1,500. So high tax bill, question mark, yes, but we have to expect that we know that cost of goods and services provided by the town are continuing to increase in price. Current inflation has added more upward pressure for the last few months, and that's going to extend into next year's budget. Each year's real estate market affects your assessment and resulting tax bill. So yes, the bottom line here is ranch houses, Cape Cods, the smaller houses in the market were really bid up with the people coming out of the urban areas that wanted to find a suburban home. So your values went up and consequently your taxes. Also, we need to consider, especially going into next year, that past town budgets have deferred many costs that now must be addressed going forward. And the bottom line is, here's your chance. If you get problems with the tax bill, come to annual town meeting because it's actually your decision as to how much you tax. Comments, Diane?
So on the assistance, all the exemptions and whatnot, there's a deadline on when you can request those.
Yes, so you need to get up, I believe this month and work with the assessor's office
Yeah, I think by
to
February 1st, I think.
do exemptions. And that is a hard cutoff. I believe it's 1 February, that's set by the state, so no leeway there.
So those were all exemptions. Did you talk about, are there abatements?
So abatements, yeah, so you can go through the abatement process too, but that essentially is the burden goes onto your shoulders to show why the assessment was well out of line with the market.
With the assessment,
So-
with the market.
And just a couple of tips, you can look at the Zillow or whatever, but remember, these values are from last year's January 1st, not what you're looking at right now online.
Right.
Anything to add, Steve?
No, I think
All
you
right.
did a great job.
Yeah, right.
Very well. So that's the chair's report. Now, Peter, do you have anything?
No, but a lot of people, I've had like 5 people in the last 48 hours come up and ask me, what's the deal with taxes? And
Yes.
as one of our constituents actually wrote us.
Yes. So replying direct to the constituent, we will. And hopefully that's a partial explanation. If you really want to get into the details of the step-by-step process of how the assessments are worked, then that information can be found up with the Board of Assessors or the Assessor's Office in Town Hall. Diane, any,
I don't have anything
All
else.
right. very well then. So you got this one, Diane?
Me or Pete?
Peter, do you want to do the consent? Yes, sorry.
That's okay.
Move to approve the open session minutes dated 12/6/2022 and 12/20/2022 and
Second,
move.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
do that one first. Moved and seconded. Anything else? Otherwise, roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
yes.
Gary, yes. And this executive one, please, Peter?
I move to approve and release the executive session minutes dated 12/20/2022.
Second,
Anything further? Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
yes.
Gary, yes. Thank you.
Oh.
On to new business.
Mhm.
All right, so town meeting coming up on the 1st of April. And first item of new business is to open the warrant for the town meeting.
So I move that the Wenham Select Board vote to open the warrant for the April 1st, 2023 annual town meeting to be held at 1 PM at the Bucher School, Wenham, Mass, on January.
From
Oh, we're
The warrant,
opening it,
the
the
warrant.
warrant, opening the warrant on today, January 10th, 2023, I'm sorry, and to close said warrant on February 7th, 2023.
I second.
any comments? Otherwise, roll call vote. Peter,
Yes,
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes. And on this, as in past years, if there's citizens petition,
Mhm.
please don't wait till the last minute because we'd like to offer the assistance of the town council to review those so that we have legitimate wording in them and we don't waste town meeting time.
so the process for that would be reaching out to your town clerk
Yes,
and getting the petition, filling that out and submitting it to the town clerk, who would then submit it to the TA's office, right? Yeah.
yes, and coordinate with the
With the
town council.
Right, because we wanna, we wanna make sure that the wording of the article is doing what the person requesting it is, wants it to do. Because you get in situations where, the warrant will get on the article will get on the warrant. And it will be presented at town meeting and the vote will be taken, but it's basically, it doesn't do anything.
Right, so actually, before signatures are taken with that petition, they should bring it to you to reach out and check.
Yeah, right, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you think,
Yeah.
yeah, or you get signatures, so you got the backing and then give it to us and, really time is of the essence because the town councils are swamped with work from all the communities, because everybody's having their town meeting in the same
Mhm.
3-week period. And, so we try to get ours in, we'll probably start submitting ours early next week, we'll start, with the ones we know that are gonna be on there, so. Sooner the better, if you're gonna wanna get something on there, so we can review it and make sure it does what we want it to do.
Awesome.
All right, item B. Open discussion of the select board regarding town meeting priorities and articles. So I think Peter and Diane. Any particular items you're looking at?
Can you bring him up so we can see pizza? I don't know. What do we have to put on the?
Well, I think, go ahead, Peter.
we have to vote on 3 to 5. Obviously, and then
That's a ballot vote.
Ballot
That'll be on the April 6th.
6, yep.
oh, excuse me. I just think this assessment tax rate thing, it's gonna take a life of its own, and I just think people are gonna want to talk about it.
Right. So certainly we can talk to the moderator and see if we probably need a fuller briefing at town meeting to explain the changes in tax bills. We can consider that.
Yeah, we can consider it.
All right.
Talk to Raj.
The moderator.
I don't understand what could be, I don't understand what could be done at town meeting,
Well,
as far as the tax bills that we have now.
yeah, I mean, we're not going to change the tax bills.
Right,
It'll only be an explanation of a little education of how the process is. like
the
we went through
budget is
tonight.
gonna,
Yeah.
Maybe how it ties into the budget.
Yeah.
how it ties into the budget, okay,
Yeah. But we'll have to leave that up to the moderator approval anyhow.
okay. I don't know, what other things do we have that we wanted to bring up at town meeting that we didn't get to do?
Well, I mean, outside of all the standard warrant articles that we have
Chapter
every
90
year,
budget.
there may be some, depending on how the final union negotiations go and the timing of that, there may be some separate funding articles for
Mhm.
those instead of being funded in the budget article, there actually be separate standing articles with funding sources and amounts. I also will likely be asking the board to entertain an article to go from an elected town clerk to an appointed town clerk. And other than that, that's all I have.
Couple of other things we may consider is there's still some wording cleanup in the bylaws, the board of selectmen to select board and
We didn't do that yet?
well, got some of it done,
Oh,
but there's still a few
In the
and
general or,
yeah, all through. And knowing that even a one-word change requires a town meeting vote on the
Oh, yeah.
bylaws. So we'll try to work on some of those. Also, we may have ready the tree program that Valerie briefed at the last meeting as well. And there's a couple of substantive changes in the committees under the bylaw. For example, the Veterans Committee that we are entrusting them with management of the War Memorial, and they have some funding, whereas in the bylaws now it does not provide for funding to them. So we'll have to do a few, so those are mostly,
Bylaws, yeah. Any,
bylaw corrections.
any zoning, does the planning board thinking of anything that we know of?
Not so far
Okay.
because I don't think we're ready to, really address the MBTA
Okay,
zoning thing. More research to come on that. And certainly the, nothing on Pulte homes in this timeframe
right,
anyhow,
right,
so
right.
that's off the board, but, other things, may come up between now and then, but as said, we got 7 February as hopefully the cutoff date, so people get your ideas in, and if there's something last minute, of course, the board can open and close the warrant thereafter, but, the real driving force on this is we got to give the town hall staff time to put everything together for the warrant hearing, the warrant books, and we need to be out to the printer by 1 March, basically, right, the
Yeah.
start of March.
Yeah, so we're asking the finance committee to give their final recommendation on the first Wednesday of February. And then the following Tuesday after that will be a joint meeting with the finance committee with their recommendations to the select board. And I think the select board then will set the final budget that will appear on the warrant article. And then we basically, at that point, hopefully the majority of the, the boilerplate, so to speak, warrant articles that are in every year will be adjusted to meet our needs, and we'll be close to ready to start sending it to the printer.
Okay, that first Wednesday in February is the volunteer night too, February 8th.
Hmm.
It's not enough days.
Yeah, so-
Great,
Very well, we'll continue, I think that, business item will be on each select board meeting
Mhm.
between now and then, so we'll continue the discussion. All right, so item C. The certificate for solar select energy power purchase agreement. It was, Michelle, is Vicky, Son on?
Yes.
I am here.
1 second, we'll get you,
so we can see you. Hi,
there we
Vicky.
go. Good evening.
Good evening.
So can you just give us a quick brief on this is the last step in our great solar project, correct?
It is, yep. So the final step is Select Energy, who built the system and will own and operate the system, is moving ownership of it between 2 divisions of their company. So it's that's what this estoppel certificate allows them to do, is change the ownership. It'll still be Select, but it's just a different division of their company.
Very well, so,
So I move that the Wenham Select Board execute the estoppel certificate for the Select Energy Power Purchase Agreement effective January 10th, 2023. This is for the library, correct?
Yes.
For the Hamilton Wenham Library, yeah.
I second.
anything further on this? Otherwise, roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes. And thank you, Vicky, for all your work. This is finally a long sought project coming to fruition.
You're welcome. I have,
Oh.
some summary and some metrics that I'd be happy to present either tonight or at a later meeting, just to talk
So
about.
if you got take a couple minutes and tell us the good numbers.
Okay, sure. Just some of the details of the deal. Now that it's done, we're locked in to an energy rate. So we're going to buy all the power that this array makes for 20 years. And we're locked into a fixed electric supply rate of 12.6 cents. So for anyone who follows the utility rates, the national grid rate is in the 30 cents range right now. And it fluctuates every 6 months. So we're locked in. There's going to be stability. We're not going to be held hostage to those national grid rates, which is great news. It's a 20-year term, as I said. And the estimated savings I'll say annually, because it really depends on the rate, what the national grid rate does. But for the next year, if we were paying the national grid rate versus the solar rate, it's like a $38,000 savings over 1 year.
Super.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will cover most of the library's utility costs.
yeah, Yeah, it's like 90% of what the library uses. And then just, another just bit of news is that we were awarded recently a new Green Communities grant for some additional weatherization work at the library, weatherization at the Iron Rail, and weatherization at Town Hall. So that contract will be coming to you guys maybe your next meeting. That's a $65,000 grant. We just got notice that we got.
Sounds great. Anything, Peter?
No, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
system.
And I should say that there's an online dashboard that we're going to put up maybe on the town website. I'll talk to Steve what he wants to do, but you can track what it makes every day and how much you've saved. And it's a real cool, very accessible tool for people to see what the array is doing every day.
Yeah, we've all played with it, and I suggested to Kim that she ought to put it on the library website.
Yep. And there's even the opportunity to have it on a like on a display in the library somewhere. So we're going to talk about that too.
Sounds good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you all.
So, motion,
We
we've got it voted.
We
All right. So, signature though.
Did vote. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
voted. Signature, we're gonna do electronic or sign now? Okay. So do that by the email. All right, so just briefly, this is more of advertisement. We currently have a vacancy on the Board of Assessors. So this is a term to be completed, so you can kind of volunteer. The the select board can appoint you, and you can kind of see if you like the job between now and the next election.
April, right?
April. Also, with a lot of other positions, we need people to step up and actually run for office or volunteer for the many committees.
There's been no one interested. No one has sent any interest in for being on the Board of Assessors.
Not yet. So a lot of people know Tom Tanis and
Johnny.
Johnny.
Yeah.
So if you want some firsthand experience, give them a call or email them through the town administrator's office.
Right, and the recent increase in taxes, if you want to get into the nuts and bolts on how the values are derived, that's the board that does it. So,
You can join that board.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Okay, item E, discussion on property tax relief options. Pretty much covered that through the prior briefing there. But the key thing is you got to get in this month to apply and work on the documentation, and the assessor's office upstairs in the town hall will assist you in that process. All right, so Martha, are you on tonight to present our candidate?
I am. We have been looking for a replacement of our student liaison on the Human Rights Committee, and as a wonderful result of the celebration of Human Rights Day, International Human Rights Day on December 12th, I had a great conversation with Grace Robach, who was there, and she has applied to be the representative, and she's a senior this year, so we would just have her until June, but we are really looking forward to having the voice on the committee of someone who is younger than the average age on the committee right now. So I would strongly recommend that you say yes to Grace.
I move to appoint Grace.
Can I do this? Can I do this, please?
Yeah.
I move to appoint Grace P. Roebuck as the student liaison to the Wenham Human Rights Committee for a term beginning January 11th, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Anything further? Thank you, Grace. Great candidate.
Yep,
And the roll call vote, Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
definitely.
Gary, yes, and Grace, you're on the committee. When's the next meeting, Martha?
The next meeting is the first Monday in February, which is the 6th.
All right, thank you.
Go Gracie.
So she just needs to get sworn in.
Yes,
I will reach out to her. She can just stop by the clerk's office to get sworn in, correct?
yes,
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
thank you. And Martha, you're up again with the presentation on the Martin Luther King Day.
Right, last year, we were requested to come up to, last year we created a proclamation for the select board to vote on to recognize Martin Luther King Day. And so we are presenting a new proclamation this year. That's a little bit different, but does the same essential thing, which is just recognize the importance of the day and encourage everyone to do acts of service on that day. There are a lot of local events, regional events, and so I don't know if you have the proclamation on a slide to read over, or if you guys have that as part of your packet.
Part of the packet.
Is it part of the packet?
Okay.
And,
I'm gonna read it. I can read it.
Yes.
Steve, you
please
want to read it? Yes, please.
So this is the title, the Wenham 2023 MLK Day Proposed Proclamation. It's whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of achieving social change and equity through nonviolence has helped shape our nation. And whereas January 16th, 2023, we observe Martin Luther King Jr. Day and reflect on his legacy as a voice for equality and access to equal justice under the law. And whereas Dr. King encouraged Americans to come together, to work together to strengthen their communities and to recognize and value the inherent worth and dignity of all people, regardless of their race, age, or creed. And whereas we can all work to make our community in both Wenham and in Massachusetts a place that values truth, justice, courage, compassion, and service. And therefore, the Wenham Select Board, on behalf of all Wenham residents, acknowledges and celebrates the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., and we encourage all residents of Wenham to observe this holiday by taking part in civic, community, and service programs in its honor. We recognize both the importance of Dr. King's life and legacy, but also remind each other that we can all contribute to the ongoing work by our actions each and every day.
So first of all, thank you, Martha, and to your committee for the authorship of this statement. And any further
Welcome.
comments, Peter?
No, it's really powerful.
Thank you.
Diane?
Well done.
All right,
I move that the Wenham Select Board approve the Martin Luther King Jr. Day proclamation that was unanimously passed by the Wenham Human Rights Committee on January 4th, 2023.
I second.
anything else? Roll call vote, Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Gary, yes. And once again, thank you, Martha, for bringing this forward.
Thank you.
And we'll get this up on the website?
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so new business item H, a proposal to have a select board workshop to primarily discuss employee pay, contracts, benefits, and the overall big budget picture in the years ahead, and perhaps add a look at how we're investing our money.
Sure.
So we can work on that too, as we're certainly in a very rapidly changing economic times with inflation and changing interest rates. So the staff has proposed next Friday, the 20th, a week from
So I think we had mentioned that date, but would you want to go to the MMA? Is that going to mess up anybody that wants to do the MMA? That's the same day.
I am going to go to the dinner, but I can,
But not during the day.
yeah.
So you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
so,
It works for me. I don't know about.
so Peter or Diane, that's your day off from work.
Oh,
What
yeah.
time do you want to start?
Oh, I still have PT, so I probably have PT between 8:30 and 9:30, so I can do it anytime after that.
All right, so this is actually kind of funny. I just read my text messages and Steve just texted me that tonight's meeting is in person.
Yes,
And I just got a note from Margaret that this Thursday's planning board meeting is going back to Zoom. Because
Yes.
of an uptick in, so.
Oh,
it's
So
like,
tonight, we're essentially checking out the technology tonight here to see how
Right.
it works, right?
so,
So,
when are we
20th
talking?
20th, Friday, 10 a.m.
Sure.
Uh, I've got I have something that I really,
Right,
well, hang
So-
on, let me just ask my wife. Hang
all
on.
right. We're on hold on item H here from the moment, as we. So,
I wonder if it's just the whole day or just
yeah,
the
we'll
morning.
check and
because
see what time it is.
I looked at the MMA. I didn't really see any
Yeah.
workshops that were interesting to me.
All right, that's good.
That's good, sure,
Yeah.
okay.
So
And,
we're, the 20th from when to 10 to when?
10 to noon, hopefully, a couple hours. All right, so, Michelle will,
Are we doing that in person?
yes. So Michelle, will remember to get that posted and I'll give the agenda. All right, so that sets H. Item I. So the tentative Hamilton Wenham Regional School District budget, I think we can go right to the next slide. And
No.
do we have the budget slide? All right, then if just scroll down.
The last page.
Yeah, keep going, back up, back one more. You chart that one right there. So I gave my impression of the meeting. Steve, you were at the 5 chairs meeting. Vinny had presented this. You want to comment on it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so their initial proposal was, I believe we were just to tick over 3% and put Hamilton over 6% year-over-year increase. The reason why for folks at home that don't know, the reason why the percentage increase is not the same, it's because of a student body population shift. So Wenham saw a slight reduction in our student population in the regional school district, and Hamilton saw a slight uptick. It's only a couple bodies, but that's enough to make that big of a difference, the way the current regional agreement reads. And, I think the schools, really went to work on this budget. They cut out a good number of positions that were, that have been funded the last couple of years that have been unable to be hired just due to the pandemic. So they definitely made some real cuts and they consolidated some positions. So I think it showed a good attempt to bring in the budget, as affordable as possible. I think knowing that, there's some real expenses coming up at this town meeting and next town meeting that have to do around the fields and in the new possible building of the new school. And, my only comment to that is that, we can't get too used to these small increases that, last year was a small increase due to the pandemic and number of funded positions that went unfunded. They were able to offset the budget through their E&D fund, their excess and deficiency fund. And this year, they were able to eliminate some of those positions. So again, freeing up money in the budget. But next year, I think we're going to see a return to a normal increase, which has been significant historically. So just understand that we had a couple good years and it's not going to last forever.
Yeah, as they said in the meeting, their contracts are up, and as we know, also on the town side, a lot of people that put off medical costs during the pandemic or found they weren't available are now using the insurances and stuff, so we're still looking at insurance increase of what on our side? The
Yeah,
budget?
so we're holding a 10% earmark, which actually we thought we were going in conservative as in on the high side, but it actually looks like it's gonna become more of a reality with a 10%. So the schools, again, they do their own, because it's a regional district, they do their own benefits through that. So that, that's a significant pressure point for their budget as well. They have a lot more employees than we do here in the town. And, like Gary mentioned, their teacher's contract is up this year, so they'll be starting negotiations probably in the next month or so, getting ready for FY25. And, with the pandemic and inflation, what it is, we've heard that the teachers union are recommending some, to go for some pretty significant increases. So again, it's going to put some pressure on the school budget that they can't really control.
Peter, any comments?
And for me,
Diane?
No, I
Right.
think they did a good job.
Yeah, we've, from the chairs meeting, the two towns and the schools are working together much better
Mhm,
than a few years back.
right,
The information flow and the coordination of where the peaks and the valleys on spending are going to occur for the next couple of years, I think we're coming to a pretty good comprehensive plan.
nice.
All right. H. So J. So Steve, you want to speak to this?
Yeah, as we're getting into the winter months now, we've had a number, well, not a number, about 3 COVID cases. So there's a number, right? So, and there's been a lot of questions and text to how long do I have to stay out?
Right.
Do I have to wear a mask when I come back? What's the procedures? So I just figured instead of you doing a case by case basis so that no one feels slighted, someone gets let back in early and someone else gets COVID and we weren't supposed to let the person in or whatever. So we've been kind of unofficially using the Massachusetts CDC, the isolation and exposure guidance that the state puts out on their website. I think it works well. It's comprehensive. So I'm just looking for the board to formally adopt that. Essentially, all it is if you have symptoms or test positive, that's day 0. You have to isolate for 5 days after that. So it's essentially a day 0 plus 5. Then you can come back to work and have to stay masked for up through 10 days after that.
No testing?
Well, you got to test, but the problem is people are staying positive for like in some cases like 6 weeks or
True.
more.
Yeah, okay.
So they've found that, again, I'm not a doctor, but they've from what I've read,
Nor do you play
yeah,
with
nor
it.
do I want to even pretend to be, but they've said that the contagious, the highest amount of the disease being contagious is like from when you first show symptoms through that day 5. And then like the 5 or 6 through 10 with the mask on is kind of like a buffer that they've built in.
As long as there's no symptoms after day 5.
Yeah, minor
Nothing
symptoms.
severe, yeah.
If there's really bad symptoms, like they should just have like a light stuffy nose or a light head cold, then like that's considered all right to come back. But if you're still, on your deathbed on day 6, then obviously you shouldn't be coming back anymore.
So this just adopts the Massachusetts standards so that our town administrator can
Yeah,
address
they can
all
point to
cases
something
equally.
and be consistent.
Right, and so have we run it by the Board of Health or did you?
We've
reach out? No.
Mhm.
Seems like it makes sense to do it though, right? I mean, I do
Right,
know that when anyone gets it, you're all like, I don't know, what do we do now?
Yeah.
yeah,
Right,
so
yeah.
this just makes it fair for all the employees so that they
As
know
far, you're right.
if they get it and takes the burden of judgment off the town administrator.
I think it's good.
All right,
All right, I move that the Wenham Select Board adopt the Massachusetts CDC COVID-19 isolation and exposure guidance effective January 10th, 2023, and you can find that guidance probably right on the website, right? On the,
Yeah, we'll link it,
CDC.
we'll link it to the front page of our
Okay.
website as a news article.
check.
just Interested.
I second.
There's a second, so anything further? Otherwise, roll call vote, Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
yes.
Gary, yes. All right, so that completes new business. I don't think we have any old business other than the schedule. So reminder, tomorrow
Mm.
is the big quintuple board meeting. So that's full FinComs, full select boards and full school committee meeting at the Bucher School.
Yes,
6:30.
6:30 tomorrow.
6:30,
6:30.
right? So be there a few minutes early
Mhm.
and get a good chair, because there's quite a few there at the table. Right, and then our next meeting will be January 20th at 10 in the morning for the workshop.
Mhm.
And then the formal select board meeting will be January 24th, Tuesday evening as usual at 6:30.
All right.
Right,
So where did I miss the fact that this meeting was in person?
so I know,
I may have dropped the ball on that one. Peter.
Yeah, okay. Anyway.
Something like that.
All right, so
we got to look at your face and vice versa, so we know the system works.
well, now I understand why you guys are all in one little box. Anyway,
All right,
okay, so with nothing left to discuss, I move that we adjourn the January 10th, 2023 select board meeting at 7:32.
Second,
anything further? Roll call vote, Peter,
Yes.
Diane?
yes.
Gary, yes, and final thank you to the staff and all that helped out tonight, and Catherine as always, for the minutes. Good night.
Good night.